Hi, today I'm going to be discussing how to dress your little one at home. So at home play, just hanging around the house. So some of the things you really want to think about when you are dressing your baby just to be at home or doing home activities is obviously comfort, functionality and practicality. They're the three things that I would definitely be considering. As a mum myself, I have 3 kids. I think some of the things you really want to be thinking about are just making sure that they're comfortable, that anything that they're wearing is practical and that has great function, because that's going to make it easy for you when you're dressing them and obviously going to make it comfortable for them. Another thing you really want to think about is the environmental temperature that you're in. So whether it be indoors with heating on, a fire on, whatever it is that you're doing to keep the house warm, or if you're going outside, the environment outside, so how warm it is, how cold it is. Things like that are really going to play into how you dress your baby. Another thing you want to be considering is, does my baby run hot or run cold? Some babies tend to get colder more easily and some babies tend to run a lot hotter. So that's another thing you need to consider before you do dress your baby. Now in summer there's a few things to think about, then transeasonally you've got a few other things that you might want to consider with dressing, and then obviously there's winter. But we'll just start with a couple of key pieces for summer dressing, because we'll start with the lighter and we'll build up. So we've got a couple of things here. We've got some bodysuits and short sleeve Growsuits. So on a very hot day you might just have a nappy and then a little sleeveless bodysuit which just covers the nappy. And then on another day when it's a little bit cooler, you might want to have a short sleeved and short armed Growsuit. Then you might have something just like this, a long sleeved bodysuit on a day when it's quite transeasonal, and that might be just inside. And then when you do go outside you might put some leggings on or some shorts or something like that. All depends on your baby, but these are a couple of key pieces that you can obviously layer with as well, but great for those summer periods. So that's something to think about there. Then transeasonally you probably want to look at, as we said, layering up. So using a bodysuit with a long sleeve is a great place to start, and you can put a singlet on underneath. You can also obviously use a Growsuit, a full body, full arm and full leg Growsuit transeasonally. If it's just an organic cotton, which ours are, it's going to breathe really well, it's going to keep them quite comfortable, and you can either have them with a singlet underneath or without, it's up to you. But a Growsuit is pretty much great all year round, particularly if you're going to be in air conditioning. You want to have those extremities covered like arms and legs, and then you might want to decide to do some things like leggings, as I said, over the bodysuits. So there's some basic leggings here. These ones are cute with little frills on the bottom, and you might want to consider doing other things like overalls as well, some overalls and a t-shirt for instance, or overalls with a long sleeve top depending on the weather. You've got other little leggings as well. On a bit of a cooler day you've got some padded leggings. You can put that with a long bodysuit, or you might just want to even put it over something like a sleeveless bodysuit if it's a bit of a warmer day. So there's lots of options there. And transeasonally you might want to think about obviously putting a hat on if you are going out. It's a little bit chilly on a transeasonal day or a summer day. You might want to put just one of these little knot hats, or obviously if it is a summer's day you might want to put on a broad brimmed hat to protect them from the sun, but these might be good just for indoors if you're feeling it's a bit chilly. Then moving on to winter, and obviously winter you're going to have to layer a lot more. So thinking about putting on more cardigans, more knitted leggings. I've got some knitted ones here that are great as part of our essentials range. Cardigans are really though a must have all year round, I think. It's great to have one in your nappy bag just to throw on a colder evening or when the weather does change a bit. If you live in Melbourne like I do, then some really cold weather can just pop out of nowhere, so having a cardigan is a great thing all year round, but particularly for the winter months obviously. So you can put a cardigan over a Growsuit, you can put a gorgeous knitted overall on, and that could go over a Growsuit, or you might just want to put it as is with a long sleeve bodysuit underneath, because that's going to keep everything nice and organized under there, so nothing sort of rides up, and going to keep them nice and warm and cozy. And all of these items are really practical, particularly as the baby starts to be more active, like sitting and standing, maybe even walking. You want to be thinking about making sure the baby's comfortable. So you could potentially do a long sleeve bodysuit again, and then you could put a little vest over the top with some little padded pants, or you could do the long sleeve bodysuit with this overall, then the padded vest like that, or you might even want to add a heavier jacket. So you might want to do one of these little really comfortable knitted jackets with padding, and you put that over the bodysuit, singlet, then the long sleeve bodysuit, and then you might do, like I said, the overall and then the padded jacket. We've also got full bodysuit, so this is like a full Growsuit, I guess you could say, with a hood, and this is all padded. This can go over the Growsuit that you've got on your baby to keep them nice and warm on a really cold day, and this is an all-in-one, and the zips do go accordingly on the same leg, so it's easy to change the nappy and that sort of thing. And this is just great if they're crawling around either outside or inside if it's cold inside, but you really want to be thinking about what you're putting on your baby if you're going to be outside versus inside. So that's another thing I just want to discuss with you. So inside, you might want to have just your Growsuits on those cooler days. It's going to be covering the knees if they're crawling. It's going to be easy, not going to be riding up, really comfortable, or leggings and a bodysuit underneath or something like that on those transeasonal days. So you really want to be thinking about, how is this practical? How is this keeping my baby warm? Obviously hats if you're going outside. We've got a couple of knitted hats as well. We've got some that are just 100% organic cotton, which this one is, and we've got some with a bit of wool. So if you are going outside, putting a hat on is a great idea too, to keep them nice and snug. And obviously a hat's easy to take on and take off, or you could choose something with an inbuilt hood. So all of these things are really important to consider before you choose what it is that you're going to put on your baby to be around home, whether it be indoors or outdoors. One other last point I'd like to make is just keeping in mind that natural fibres are really important. I know I've discussed this in previous videos, but making sure that you've got your baby in natural fibres is really imperative, because it's going to allow your baby to temperature regulate much easier, and it's going to keep them more comfortable. Breathable fabrics are always good to go with, and you can obviously layer up with those. So layering is really important when it comes to transeasonal and winter periods. Not so much for summer, but definitely for those transeasonal and winter periods to layer up with things. And rule of thumb is as well to keep in mind, if you are thinking about what do I dress my baby and how many layers do they need, well, typically a baby needs one extra layer than what you would typically wear yourself to be comfortable in that environment. So that's another really good rule of thumb. And if you ever want to check baby's temperature, check down the tummy underneath their clothing, on their chest or the back of the neck. You can of course use the thermometer, but that's always a really good way just to check, is with hand feel, and you'll work out quite quickly whether your baby's warm or cold. And look for those signs as well, whether it be sweating or looking a bit chilly with blue lips and that sort of thing, just to look at how to dress your baby accordingly. So I hope this has been useful and helpful for you today with thinking about some of the things that you might want to put on your baby to keep them comfortable when you're around abouts at home. So thank you so much.